Hi guys, how are you today? Had the C5 out on a bit of a run yesterday. It's done about 1400 kilometres today. It's running beautifully. Did about 130 kilometres, 80 mile or so. Running along at about 100 kilometres an hour. Come to a good grade on a hill and was running along at about 100 kilometres an hour up that hill. And about 3/4 of the way up the hill, did a slight backfire and I lost power. Probably, I don't know, I think I was only running about 3/4 power after that. It appeared to me that I may have decompressor failure. I've experienced this once before on a previous bike, so only time will tell about that. So I decided when I got home I'd do a compression test on the bike, see what happens. So with this particular bike, it's not that hard to do. So anyway, I've set up the compression tester. You can pick these up at any of the auto things. With these motorbikes you need about one with a 14mm connector to get into the spark plug slot. So they cost you around about 40 bucks. I'll just reset it to 0. On this new bike, first thing you'd do would be to disconnect your power supplies, which goes to the fuel pump, so you're not pumping petrol in. But with this bike, it's just a matter of disconnect. It's a quick release here. Usually on the older bikes, you just follow the lead down here and disconnect that way. So we've got it zeroed. It should be thrown on this bike from cold. It's cold now. At least 150 pound or better. So the idea to do the compression test is turn our ignition on. Naturally now you don't hear the pump turn up. Throttle wide open. Press the starter. Let it crank over several times. And we'll watch it. We'll just bring my knee up here somewhere to hang on to this thing. Yeah. Biggie boy. Throttle wide open. And we get our reading as pretty close to 90. Just give her another check. Throttle wide open. Once again around that 85, something like that. So I think the only one way to check on this one is to, like I said, I've experienced this once before when it was on a previous bike where it came in on around this figure, 90, and it turned out at around same sort of kilometres or a bit less than this one, that it was a decompressor failure. So I think the only way to find out for sure is open it up, pull out the decompressor and crank her over again and see what happens. So we'll go from there. Looking this bike over, to take off this side cover, it looks like I'll have to swing down here and unhook this cable here, and that'll be back down into here to get at the side cover. After that it'll be kickstarter, undo the foot peg. Looks like it's going to be a tight fit under here, so to get at this screw here, so it looks like I'll have to drop this exhaust from either the header pipe and the side one here. So little breather cap here, so it'll come off. Apart from that, We'll be just undo all the bolts here at the side. So apart from that, I can get into it and we'll see what happens after that. I decided I'll just work careful around here because I don't want to upset. I just have to work around my foot peg here carefully because I decided I would move the exhaust, but if I do that I'll upset me master cylinder there for the rear disc brake. So rather than move that all out of the way, I'll just see if I can get the ratchet in there and move that out of the way and see if I can get this side cover off without removing that one, and it might save me a bit of drama. But if I have no choice I'll remove it, but if I can get this side cover off without going to that much trouble, I'll see what happens first and see if I can avoid that problem. We now have a rough diagram where the bolts have got to go after I rip them out of here. So after they come out, working on where the Royal Enfield emblem is here, or stamped. Starting on this one, he'll be number 1 going into there. Just run right around the outside, fill it in, so at least later on when I come back I know where they go back in when I start putting them back together. Got all the bolts out now. They're 10 8mm bolts. The bit of oil's draining out the side. Here's the bolts already set up in the thing, so I'll know which direction they head back in, and the side plate's just about ready to come off. All good now, and we got the cover off, and we're heading to this part here now. This nut has to come off here. Then we've got to get the puller on it, pull this one off, then get into the cover here. 3 of these Allen keys have to come off. And the decompressor is sitting behind that one. Just using a 6-inch puller on this one to extract it, and that nut where the puller is attached to, well, it's just been released by a it was a 19mm. To release that, it was just a anti-clockwise turn, so I've just backed it off and then brought it back on a little bit, so that when I use the puller to release this, I just don't want it flying off everywhere, so I just want it to release, and I can then pull it off by hand after that. Unit is now released, went off as bang as usual, and pity I couldn't get it on video, but not much I could do about that, but it's off. All I have to do is now undo it and pull it out of the way. Uses quite a lot of pressure, so like I said, when it does go off it sort of scares you a bit, but I've done it before, so the first time it went off it sort of scares you, but second time you just take your time and just wind it slowly until it releases, and then it pops off, and from the factory time it really bangs off fairly loud. Next up will be 3 of these Allens. Behind those there's usually a couple of spacers or washers. We'll see what's happened with this one when we take it off. Alright, the plate's off, so this will give you an idea. This is the back side of the plate, and these are the spacers, or something you've got to remember when you put it back on. There's one there, there's one there, nothing down the bottom here, but you've got to make sure they're back in place. One up the top, both up the top, but there's nothing at the bottom. It's starting to get a bit dark, but I've got torchy. There's your decompressor there. So that is the one that I'll be removing. See if it solves this problem. Whatever you do, don't touch the cam. So when you're doing, you'll be holding it like so, or you'll be putting your hands here like this, fingers. Don't move them at all. If you move those out of the way, you could say you've got a lot of problems. And then we'll be taking it back to a bike shop to get it fixed, unless you know a lot about motorbikes. So that's the idea with that one. So it'll be getting the Allen key first to undo this one there, and pull this decompressor one out. So out of the right one, that's where the decompressor was. And there's the parts we pulled out. You got the decompressor, the pin, this one here holds it together. Pin was over there on the separate one. So I can put it back together now and see what happens. So I've got the bike all back together now. Had a slight problem, the gear shift shaft slid out and I had to go around the other side and fix that up and undo the shifter and push it through the other side and line it back up and put it back in, but that's good now, so it's ready for a start. It's all back together. We will, prior to this we were playing, this was a real pain to get with this Euro 4 model. I had a lot of trouble pulling this main power supply to the fuse, getting it out. Had a lot of trouble getting it back in, so must have took a good half hour. So compared to the old model, it was a real pain in the ass. But anyway, we will give it a go. So we got that. Get neutral. Got neutral. Got pump disconnected. Full throttle. And we have now got roughly a bit over, fraction over 150 pound PSI from a cold start. So we've done 60 pound in pressure, so therefore there was trouble with the auto decompressor. So when I that was the reason for me dropping power. The auto decompressor was faulty and it shit itself going up that hill, and as usual this is the second bike in a row now that I've had a faulty decompressor on, so I did the right thing going in there and pulling a heap of shit out and throw it away. So you wouldn't expect that on a new bike again, with this one with 1400 Ks on it. So whatever it is, they just never had it on the earlier bikes I had, but the last two in a row it's had it with, so they must be just a bad batch coming through or something like that. So I'll now run this bike without it. So that's something for you to look at if you ever lose power. It's worth looking at and going in. So anyway, thanks for looking.